great big long weekend. Hey now.
Hey now.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to Scott Fox After 9, although I don't even know why I keep calling it this because Anna's on just about every episode now. Hi, Anna. How you doing?
Good. I just push my way in here and then I sit down and you're kind of forced to use me.
Well, I'm glad you're here because this episode is Friday. It's a long weekend. I want to have a little bit of fun. Mm-hmm. I know there's politics stuff going on. I don't want to talk about it.
All right.
Yesterday, the provincial government released a budget and it's full of stuff that infuriates me. I don't think we need to talk about it today, Anna.
You sure?
I mean, the cannabis store change is good.
Yeah.
I'm glad that cannabis stores no longer need to be treated like a hole in the wall with the windows papered over. They're going to be able to open up their stores to actual sunlight. I think that that's good, but I think that that's like step 1 of 10 things that need to be done in the cannabis industry. And this provincial government is very slow at it.
I have to agree with you because with that being done in that way all this time, you almost feel like a criminal. Like I'm doing something bad by going into the cannabis store to get something. And I didn't like that. I didn't like that feeling.
No.
I thought that was terrible because I'm not doing anything bad. It's just like going to the liquor store. Both get you impaired if you really want it to. So, yeah.
Okay. You know what? You talked me into it, Anna.
I'm sorry, but it's just one of those things that made me mad. I'm
going to do it. Yesterday, the provincial budget came down. And, I should also tell people, we had a few beers before this.
Yeah, that's why we're ecstatic.
We launched a new beer. Let me do this for the people that are in Guelph, Waterloo Region, Wellington County, Dufferin County. Mm-hmm. This is for you. The radio station that Anna and I work at is called Light 92. Perfect if you like light beer because we teamed up with a local brewery and we created a light lager. As a lager fan, Anna, I was excited about this. But here's the thing. Some radio stations will put their name on a beer that's actual dog shit.
Yeah,
you know
gross.
what I mean? It's terrible. Ugh. And I've been on the other side of that where I tried it and I thought, oh my God, this is just terrible. But I got to tell people it's good.
Yeah.
So I just sort of avoided it because I'm not going to lie to people. If I do an endorsement, it'll be a true endorsement. Same. So when they told us here at Light 92, we've got a light lager, I thought, oh, Jesus, here we go again. We tried one this morning and I got to tell you, it is one of the best radio beers I've ever tried. Picture this. Yeah. Here it is. It's called Light Lager. It's from Fixed Gear Brewing in Guelph, Ontario. They're going to donate 25 cents from every can sold to Habitat for Humanity, which is probably going to build more houses than Mark Carney will this year.
At this rate.
And it's got a little bit of lime. And that was the part that threw me for a loop. I thought, I don't like lime in my beer. I like one lime beer and that's it. Mm-hmm. Here's the best way I can describe this beer. And I encourage you all, if for no other reason but it supports Habitat for Humanity, if you're near Guelph, go to the Fixed Gear Brewing Co. on Edinburgh Street. Get a 6-pack. Picture a Bud Light lime with less lime.
It was so good.
It's a light beer for sure. Little hint of lime, not too much.
Nope.
I actually really enjoy it. I could have drank that whole 6-pack this morning.
It was delicious. It's so refreshing. The thing is, I actually took video of Scott and I on the air with this beer so people know that we weren't lying because, that's not part of the job, but, you got to support local. But they did a fantastic job. So if you go to our social media, you will see that video of us trying the beer. Mine is Anna_Almedia and Scott Fox on air on Instagram. So go check it out. It's great. Cheers to you. And you're giving back in a nice way.
Sure. It's like McHappy Day. You bought the Big Mac, but it supported a good cause.
Yeah, it's actually really good.
So I told you I've done a few of these now with radio stations and they launched their shitty beer. Sorry. Oh, I didn't mean to swear. They launched their terrible beer.
Honest. Yeah.
And those are not very good. This one is very good. Fixed Gear Brewing in Guelph, Edinburgh Street. Yeah. Now, let's talk a little bit about the budget and then we're going to get to listener DMs. And
Perfect.
We got to talk about the World Juniors, the hockey player trial. Yesterday, they did the group chat messages and they read them out in court. And I feel differently about this case again. Mm-hmm. I keep switching back and forth. Guilty, innocent, guilty, innocent. And after hearing the text messages, I feel differently again. But, and the Diddy trial as well.
Yeah, oh my gosh, yeah. Oof.
First, though, when it comes to the budget that came down yesterday, it's a lot of spending. It's a lot of debt. I don't necessarily think it's a bad idea to spend money or at least have a contingency for if the tariffs get really, really bad, because there's going to be businesses that need support. Fine. No problem. But they also announced a lot of funding for alcohol sales. And frankly, I don't know why we're doing that now. The government put a lot of time and effort into making alcohol more convenient, and I thank them for that. Doug Ford did a great job because it should have never been restricted to only the government liquor monopoly, the LCBO. It should have always been available in more places. And even though all those people, were you in Halifax when we were putting beer and wine in convenience stores?
Which we thought was funny because you could go to the grocery store in Halifax and the liquor store was right next door. So it's a one-stop shop. So to me, this was a little behind. And usually out east, people say we're behind, but we were far ahead.
Yeah, I mean, it was long overdue. It needed to be done. And all these people, where are the people that when we were talking about putting beer and wine in grocery stores, they swore up and down, this is going to kill people. It's going to lead to deaths.
Oh, gosh.
It's going to lead to an increase in impaired driving.
No.
It didn't. It didn't. And it didn't.
No.
But all these people swore it was going to happen, and the mainstream media was all over it, too. They were pumping out that message because they'll do anything anti-government.
Wow.
Anti-conservative government. None of it happened. Life is better. It's more convenient. You don't have to race to the LCBO at 4 o'clock on Sunday to get some wine because you can get it at a convenience store the next day.
You don't have to wait in line trying to get everything that you need done.
So the Ford government did great there. But what I don't understand is why they're doing what they're doing now. The Ontario budget, when it comes to alcohol, is going to spend $175 million as part of a new program to boost the number of Ontario grapes in blended wine. So first off, you can take blended wine and get it the hell out of here because it's trash. The best way to enjoy blended wine is open and then pour it right down the drain.
Okay.
It's no good. But they want to do this, and they're going to spend $175 million on this. On what? What are you spending $175 million on?
What are we trying to save here?
Are you trying to tell me these wineries that are jam-packed to the rafters on weekends in the summer for wine tastings, are you telling me they're suffering to the point where they need $175 million? What are we doing here with this money? That I don't understand. Again, though, Doug, if you want to come on and talk to me, please. I'd love to have you on and ask you about stuff like this in a non-confrontational way, if that's what you're worried about. They're also going to spend $250 million, quarter billy here, Anna, on measures to support the alcohol market.
Measures to support.
Yeah, I mean, we got to help out the alcohol sales. Listen, there's a couple things at play here. Number one, alcohol consumption in Ontario is way down. The reason for that is because people got cannabis. And you know what? When you can go and get a 10-pack of pre-rolls for $18, the same price as 3 cans of beer, they're going to go for the cannabis if they just want to take the edge off.
Yeah.
We should have known that was coming. No problem. They also are blaming it on tariffs. Well, lo and behold, this is going to shock the crap out of everybody. The government thought they were being all high and mighty. We're going to take the American liquor out of the stores. We're going to ban the American alcohol as a protest against tariffs. Well, how'd that work out for you? Because now people are drinking a lot less. They're not even going to the LCBO because the reason they went there was for products that they wanted. And now you're not carrying half of those products. And it's totally time to shut down the LCBO. Disband the whole thing. Every single store should be sold off. The inventory, the staff, everything. I should be able to say, you know what? I live in Burlington. I want the location at Guelph Line and Upper Middle, and I'll pay for it and I'll take on the staff. And the government should say, thank you, thank you, thank you. Take it off our hands. But they're hell-bent on maintaining this monopoly. It's such an anti-conservative thing. I don't understand why Doug Ford is leaning into this.
Well, when I lived out east, everything was under one umbrella. So you could go get your cannabis, you could go get your beer, and you could get your regular liquor all in one spot attached to a superstore, let's say. So it's all in one, and you go and then you drop off your empties or whatever the case may be to like a local recycling plant. So I think we did it a lot better when I lived out there, to be honest with you.
Honestly, other provinces have this figured out. The way they do it in Alberta is so good. Every liquor store and every cannabis store is private. It's a small business owned by a business owner who has ordered the product that he thinks his customers are going to buy. And that's a risk. Sorry, he or she. And you know what? If they order in all kinds of Jack Daniels and nobody's buying it, they'll know, don't order more Jack Daniels. But in Ontario, we don't have that because we have to go through the LCBO. The Liquor Control Board of Ontario is so controlling. It is such a big brother thing that I am so pissed off that we still have this archaic system in 2025. And Doug had a chance to do something about it. When he was changing the alcohol rules, he could have done it then. In this budget, he could have done it. And instead, we're going to invest $250 million into making people want to drink more?
Yeah.
It doesn't make any sense.
And then we see the commercials. Don't drink and drive. Drinking, bad, blah, 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 blah. You know, you're seeing a lot of that.
Glad you mentioned advertising because there was also a change to the cannabis rules. And I think that this is a good change. Congratulations, Doug Ford. And we have such a good finance minister in this province. Peter Bethenfalvey is a smart guy. The change is cannabis stores no longer have to cover their windows. That was never a safe thing to do. Having people locked in a store with the windows papered over, you have no idea what's going on in there. There's a lot of incentive to rob them. So you put staff in a dangerous situation for years, all because, God forbid, somebody see inside a cannabis store. Meanwhile, and that's a small business, by the way, a cannabis store is an independently owned small business that's employing people. Let's go to the LCBO, though. The government-controlled one. There's no rules. You can bring kids in there.
I know.
You got to show ID to get into a cannabis store. A child can walk into the LCBO. Bottles everywhere. Displays with bright colors to attract people. It's the most hypocritical thing, and I can't understand why it's still allowed to happen. Good step, stopping the requirement that stores have to be papered over. God forbid you see inside. Why aren't we changing it with the LCBO? Why can kids go into the LCBO, but you got to show ID to get into a cannabis store? Have the people that made the rules actually been to a cannabis store? Because the way they operate is very safe and very efficient. And I don't think they understand that. They
are the ones who made those rules so they wouldn't be seen in the cannabis store with the walls and the windows all taped up because they don't want to be seen, which I think is, to be honest, I think that's just ridiculous. And it made me feel uncomfortable because I didn't know what I was walking into. Although I felt safe, it's just one of those things. Like, give me a break. We're not criminals. Go ahead.
You also mentioned advertising, though.
Yeah.
There's no restrictions on alcohol, whether it's Jack Daniels or whatever wine.
You got the celebrities, everybody endorsing everything.
Endorsements, right.
Everybody has their own liquor.
You said it. So that's all totally fair game. Totally fair game. Cannabis store can't even advertise when they're open and what their hours are.
Because you're a drug addict. Don't forget.
But why?
Right?
Is it because the government doesn't own it? And I'm also looking at gambling. How many ads do you see for gambling when you watch a hockey game or something like that?
Go on your phone.
Apparently,
download this.
Gambling is zero issue. Alcohol, zero issue. But cannabis is public enemy number one. Why are cannabis shops not allowed to advertise? That's a basic thing for a legal product. Not allowed to do it. I think Doug he's losing people, Anna, every single day. I probably get 10 more messages than the day before about how pissed off people are.
I think once he really didn't endorse Polyev, I think it really started to open people's eyes and people's perception of him started to change personally.
I think generally speaking, he still enjoys a broad range of support from people from all walks of life. However, there's still things that need to be done that could be done with the stroke of a pen that he won't do. And I don't understand why.
He's mastered dodging questions, though. There's no answers. But
he went to Trudeau school.
He went to like a whole, I'll go on this journey with him, and there's no payoff at the end because you're like, what did you just tell me? So that's just me.
There should be no more restrictions on cannabis than there are on alcohol.
It's the same thing.
Full stop. And another thing, the amount of hypocrisy that they will let Wegovy, Viagra, Ozempic, and all these other prescription drugs advertise. Why would a prescription drug need to advertise? You know who needs to know about a prescription drug?
Those with diabetes.
Pharmacists and doctors. And if you go to the doctor and you've got an ailment, they'll prescribe you the right drug. They don't need to advertise. That's control over the media. Why are cannabis shops not allowed to advertise? One that actually is legal and won't kill you.
And also, they help if you are a cancer patient or in pain. Like, people don't realize.
If you have anxiety any number of things.
That's what I use it for. Or if I really want a good night out with my friends and we're sitting there around the fire and we're laughing, like, that's so good for the soul. Again, to each their own. Do what does you best. But don't look down on me because of what I do. Because I'm not a terrible person. I just like to celebrate or enjoy my evenings a different way.
I hate it here. You know? Honestly, Anna, I love my country. I love my province, but I also hate it at the same time. The hypocrisy and the fact that these common sense changes could be made, but there's no political will and there's nothing else in it for the government, so they won't do it. It just makes it seem like we're run by the mafia. That's what government seems like to me. They seem like the mob. Federal government, no budget. If you don't like it, F you.
Which is wild to have still, again. I think that's been such a talk. Like, how's there no budget?
How's there no budget?
How is there, yeah.
We're a country. We claim we're a country and we don't have a budget.
Yeah.
Every small business in the country has a budget.
You have to have a budget. You got to know what you're working with.
Most households have a budget, and we as a nation don't. It's messed up. Anyway, I didn't really mean to get into the whole what's wrong with the province.
As we get into the long weekend, and these are things people are going to be stopping to pick up. And now those are conversations to have around the fire.
But the hypocrisy is just unreal. The way we treat cannabis operators and the people who have taken the time, they applied, they went through the process, they pay their taxes, they employ people. And we treat them like a bag of crap. Yeah. It doesn't make any sense. Cannabis is doing more for Ontario's industry with zero support from the government than alcohol ever will. How much pot do we sell versus how many glasses of Niagara wine do we sell? And that's not a shot at the wineries.
Because they're great.
They're great. But let's grow up here. Let's prioritize our best clients. And we're getting revenue from cannabis, and I don't understand why the government is so opposed to even basic common sense proposals. If anyone at Queen's Park wants to talk to me for Rex, I can do those for you.
I would love for anybody there, for Doug, come and sit. You know, if you're intimidated, I'll be here.
Anna will sit here and hold your hand in case Big Bad Scott asks you a tough question.
Yeah, I won't hold your hand, but I'll give you a look.
It's just an abdication of responsibility. You know, like I can't even say it enough times. I really like the premier, and for the most part, I'm aligned with him on a lot of issues, but he is so far on the wrong side of the right issues. I don't get it. How can he possibly look at the way the LCBO is treated, which is costing us money, and then look at these independently owned cannabis shops and look at the incredibly onerous rules that are on them and say, yeah, this is a good balance? The only conclusion is that they make money off the LCBO. They don't make as much off of cannabis, and they'll screw you. They'll screw you every time. And I don't understand why.
It's money game.
Anyway, let's move on. Yesterday, the World Junior Hockey Championship players that got involved in that incident with EM at that hotel in London. Yesterday was an interesting day. I don't know why the jury was asked to leave the room at the end.
Just before all these messages were released and read. I thought that was so interesting. Like, oh, have a good afternoon. We'll be back here tomorrow. And then the messages got exposed. I don't know. It's weird.
After the incident happened, a couple of days went by, a week or something like that.
June 26, 2018.
Okay. Then Hockey Canada sent a note to at least one of the players. They reached out to somebody that they knew was in that room because they had heard about it at that point. And they said, hey, we're starting an investigation. So the players who were in that room started a group chat. It's kind of like you and your siblings when you find out mom and dad are angry. We better discuss this and get our story together. Yesterday, those group text messages were read out in court. And what I like about this is this gives us context from years ago when it happened. It was a week after the incident, not 7 years later trying to remember, not after 7 years of trying to come up with a story. This was a week or so after the alleged incident. These guys all got in a group chat. Did you print those off?
I do. I have them right here.
Okay. Anna's going to read some text messages here. And no matter how you feel about this case, I don't want to change anybody's mind. Maybe you've already made up your mind, guilty or innocent.
And that's okay.
I go back and forth. I think these text messages give us context, and I think it gives us a little more clarity about where the players' heads was at. Let's go.
Okay, so a text from McLeod's phone reads, we all need to say the same thing if we get interviewed by Hockey Canada and can't have different stories or make anything up. I did have, intercourse with her before everybody came in. You guys know that part, right? That's from McLeod.
Okay, hold on. Everybody, don't make anything up.
Yep.
Tell the truth.
Don't have different stories. Just be honest.
But I mean, the fact that after this happened, he was confident enough to say, tell the truth.
That was very important. That was like
I think that's an important detail.
But that comes up a lot actually in these text messages. Okay, so this next part said, I did have sex with her before everybody came in. You guys know that, right? She's the one who got naked and started begging everybody. This is a response from teammate Brett Howden. No boys. Hold
on. Tell me the name before you read the text.
So that was from Brett. So this one, next one is Bean. Okay, so Bean added to she's the one who got naked and started begging.
You can read it as is, by the way.
Okay.
If there's profanity or something, go ahead.
Cool.
Don't be cryptic.
Okay.
Just read it.
Thank you. I just want to make sure. Okay, so Bean added this to the conversation in the group chat. No boys, you didn't need to make anything up. No one did anything wrong. We went to that room to eat. The girl came. She wanted to have sex with all of us. No one did. She gave a few guys head and then got out of the room and things got too crazy. So some left, okay? So that's from Bean.
Again, a week later, for them to say, we didn't do anything wrong. We went there to eat, and when things got crazy, we left. Mm-hmm. I think that's an important detail.
Okay, so then McLeod responds to that. What should I say if they ask why I took the consent videos, though? And then Bean responds with, you took the videos because you wanted to make sure nothing bad would happen and cover yourself. So... okay, later in the thread, Dubé then jumps in and he says, let's not make her sound like too crazy because if she gets wind of this and then she can get even more angry and we don't need that. So just be good about it and but the truth with it. So be good about it, but with the truth with it. So just be honest. Exactly.
So that's two of the actual accused. A week after they find out this is being investigated, encouraging everyone to be honest about what happened. Mm-hmm. Not, hey, let's get our story together. Not anything like that. Just tell the truth.
Just tell the truth. And then teammate Max, how do you say his last name? Comtis?
Don't know.
Okay. Well, Max, he says the truth is we didn't do anything stupid. We had her consent and we didn't force her to do anything. So that's seems to be the thread, the feeling in the conversation. So after having a text conversation with the complainant, EM, McLeod shared with the group that it wasn't her who went to the police. Okay, it was actually her mom, and no idea why, but she already told me she told the police that she doesn't want to pursue this, and it was a mistake. She also texted me. This again is McLeod, saying sorry about this and that she was in the wrong too, and I have his text saved. So they have this text saved. So there you go. So that's McLeod who shared that with the group as well, letting them all know that he had a private conversation with the accuser. Okay.
So with EM.
EM.
Okay. I don't know. It's hard to hear these messages. What I'm getting from this is when the guys found out there was an investigation that was going to happen by Hockey Canada, the players said, be honest about what happened because we didn't do anything wrong.
That's what they're saying. And they keep saying that throughout. I think, okay, as somebody who's reading this and taking this information in, it's almost like they're putting this out there to make sure that they're not crazy themselves and no, we didn't do anything wrong. When you have to question yourself, I know I didn't do anything bad, right? And you say it and you're like, no, you didn't do anything bad. It's like that confirmation that you need to hear, especially from somebody will probably tell you the truth. So I'm going to continue on. There's a few more, but Dubé, he responded to that conversation with McLeod talking about EM, and he responded with, "But the boys who did stuff got consent, so it's okay." Which then McLeod then told the group, "But if you were in the room, don't lie and don't say you weren't. Nobody forced her to do anything," said Howden. "She was begging for anyone to bang her." So again, they're trying to say, if you're in the room, say you're in the room. It's okay. Participated or not.
Yeah, don't lie to say you weren't there.
Exactly. So, yeah. So it's been an interesting conversation being shared. I just don't understand why the jurors weren't there. I thought that was quite strange. I think.
Are you sure they weren't there?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they got let go just beforehand.
Interesting.
I just think this would have really helped their case and these conversations. And it was her EM's stepdad actually who was the one who made the call to Hockey Canada to report this.
That's a weird thing too.
This whole ordeal. And it was her mother who caught her crying in the shower and she explained what happened, that she had been violated. So, and it wasn't her who actually called the police. It was the parents really who got involved. So,
but that's a weird thing. If I had sex with somebody and I didn't like the way it went down, I wouldn't phone their work.
No. I know. And like things.
Like, why go after Hockey Canada? Because it was shortly after that they came to a cash settlement.
Yeah, a few million. So yeah. And then EM was also speaking out about it when she got cross-examined because she was referred to as, somebody who was into a person of porn is how she was.
A porn star.
A porn star. But that's how she was described, let's say. She took on that persona of a porn star while in the room. And when she was asked about that, EM said, I don't have memory of offering that up, but based on the persona I was trying to use to cope with it, it could be possible.
So she said it could be possible that she was trying to be a porn star.
Like that persona of being a porn star.
That's a weird persona to want to take on.
Yeah, it's just very conflicting in terms of, being, listen, it sucks that this happened. If she's traumatized, gosh, I feel for you, but I also feel for these guys as well, because these conversations now being released, like tell the truth, do this, do that, are they trying to cover their butts? Maybe, but are they telling the truth? Yeah, probably, and she has her truth, they have their truth, and then there's the actual truth in the middle. That's what they're trying to figure out right now.
That's a good point. There's always three sides to a story.
So
let me also point out here, though, in that text exchange, the guy who was testifying yesterday, he was one of the guys in the room, but not one of the people accused.
He didn't do anything, no.
He left.
Yeah, so he's giving his account, having been somebody who watched her do some things with some of the men that were involved in this sexual encounter. In you know what I mean?
Encounter.
Thank you.
It's
tough. Oh my gosh.
I think it's interesting because the guys seem to be, based on these text messages from 7 years ago, they seem to be demonstrating a little bit of integrity. There was two guys that did stuff that texted this guy who was on the stand yesterday. Again, not one of the accused, but he was in the room. They texted him and said, please don't tell Hockey Canada about this because we want to tell them ourselves. We'll tell them what we did. I think that that's accepting responsibility for a bad situation, knowing that the optics on this are bad, understanding that this is something that could blow up if they don't manage it properly. And I think that based on what I know, I think they handled it right.
Well, and McLeod has the messages saved that he reached out to her directly when he heard that, there's rumblings of a potential investigation or whatnot, that she had come forward and, that it wasn't her. She wanted them to know that it wasn't her who went to the police. It was her mom. And, that she told the police she didn't want to pursue anything. And this was all a big mistake. And I get people in that moment, you're scared to come forward and tell your story. But at the same time, is it because is she pushed in a corner because of her parents, or does she feel like she was pushed in a corner because of these guys made her do something she didn't want to do?
I still want to know why London police didn't lay charges the first time. They investigated this and declined to lay charges. And I'm assuming it's because they read those text messages, because they heard both sides of the story. And it seems like originally she had no interest in pursuing this legally either. I don't know about the settlement part of it with Hockey Canada, but that's between her and Hockey Canada. What changed that made London police lay charges now and effectively end these guys' careers?
And 7 years later, I
don't think they're going back to their NHL teams.
Oh my gosh. Oh, I know. Everybody's losing here. She's losing. They're losing. Yeah. And to have your personal privacy, your privacy being shared in this way, it's going to follow them wherever they go. I'm sorry. It is.
I also want to acknowledge that right now, I'm leaning a little bit towards the guys. Hearing these messages in context from 7 years ago when it was still fresh in everybody's minds, I'm hearing an admission that it was a bad night and they probably shouldn't have been there. But I'm not hearing anything like they did anything illegal or that they felt that there was a sexual assault or whatever.
If I'm hearing this for the first time, I'm leaning in that direction. I want to believe her because it's just one of those things. You want to believe the victim. It's so hard to come forward. It's so hard to share your truth. It's scary. And I'm here for anybody who wants to speak their truth to get justice. However, with this being said, when you're seeing more evidence being presented, it's easy to see that maybe this was just a night. They got together. Things went a lot further than she anticipated, and then she felt shameful, and then other people got involved, and then you're so deep in a story you don't know how to get out of it, and then that's where we are.
Well, let me finish my point here that I think that people are going to change their minds multiple times. And it really
that's okay.
It really depends on the testimony you heard that day. Based on what I heard yesterday, I'm actually leaning a little bit more towards the guys. And that's not to take anything away from EM or her story or the fact that she was victimized in a way. But right now, I don't know that they've crossed that criminal threshold. However, every day, new stuff comes out and I go back and forth. So I'm not forming any judgments right now. But right now, after those text messages, I'm leaning a little bit more towards the guys probably didn't do anything illegal. No matter what, I'll never change my mind that they should have never been in that room. They should have been smart enough to know better. And if this truly is the way it seems from this text message, that it was just a chick who got real crazy and wanted to bang some hockey players, they said no and left, okay, then I feel bad for the guys. But it doesn't seem like that's all that happened. And I know that stuff happened. I just want to know more about what they did to her. And whether or not they were ever told that this isn't okay, that this isn't welcome, that she's not okay. We're not through this trial yet. Don't form an opinion yet, everybody, because there's still lots more to come.
I just really hope at the end of this and during this even, I hope they get the help that they need to move past this, you know?
Do you think they all need help? I mean, I don't know what the guys did wrong here.
Well, regardless, whether they did something wrong or not, they're still being focused on in such a light that you're almost guilty until you're not. You know what I mean? So I think maybe it'll be helpful for them to talk to somebody as well, or whatever they need to do to get the support that they need, because this is trauma. This is trauma for her. I'm a big believer. Mental health is so important. Get the help that you need. Don't sit in this alone. And, you know,
if they need it, then. I don't get the vibe that they do. I think these guys are very confident in the fact that they didn't do anything wrong and that they'll be vindicated at the end. I'm sure they're worried they might not be, but I'm sure they're confident they will be. That's the vibe I get anyway.
What a story.
Totally. Okay, let's go over to the Diddy trial.
Oh, story. Oh, my gosh.
Wow.
Okay, this one, we know. I don't care. We know he's wrong. Still, it just gets me.
There wasn't a whole lot that came out yesterday. It was a lot of recapping stuff that we'd already heard. It was the cross-examination of Cassie yesterday, and one of the things that I thought was kind of gross, I don't blame the defense lawyer for doing it, but the defense lawyer, Diddy's lawyer, tried to poke holes in Cassie's story. And one of the things she did was she didn't just read text messages between Cassie and Diddy. She made Cassie read the text messages on the stand. And Cassie had to read text messages like, I'm always ready for a freak off. Lol. I mean, and some people might say, oh, well, then she did consent. This is all silly then. She consented to it. She said, I'm always ready for a freak off. With the context, knowing what he's like, if you don't cooperate with him, I think that makes it a lot different. And I don't know if her putting out there that, yeah, I'm always ready, was just a way to mitigate the violence or the shame or whatever was going to come her way if she'd said she's not ready for it.
Yeah, just buy her some time until, you know.
The defense is throwing out a Hail Mary here. This is really all they've got is text messages between Cassie and Diddy to say that, no, she was into it. It was consensual.
But she had already said that it was in the beginning anyways, that she wanted to please him, you know, make her man happy because he was so alluring and this and that. But she never expected that it would happen this often, this many times over the years. And then the abuse followed.
Yeah. I think that there's probably a lot of people, male and female, that have gone above and beyond and done stuff they probably didn't want to do or weren't comfortable doing to try and please the person they were with.
Saying that can go back to hockey. But that could also go back to Hockey Canada if we were to bring that in.
No, it couldn't.
You know?
No.
Okay.
That was a one night only.
No, but that's what I mean. If you're in the moment trying to make somebody happy, I'm not saying that it's exactly the same. I'm just saying that person, how they could feel maybe in that moment.
Okay, one of the listener DMs coming up is along that vibe. Somebody trying to understand what the difference between Diddy and the hockey players is. I do not see it that way. I think this is apples to oranges. But either way, I didn't love that Cassie had to do that yesterday.
She needed a break, too. She needed a moment to collect herself. And I feel that's fair, you know?
But I also don't blame the defense attorney for bringing that up because in their mind, it's probably relevant. It's just going to confuse the jury. But I don't think it takes away from the fact that she was a real victim here. And I'm sure we're going to hear from many more throughout this trial. It's an 8-week trial, and we're only a week through it.
I wonder who will be subpoenaed. And who will have to take the stand and speak, because you know there's so many people involved and everybody's shaking right now because nobody wants to get that call and say we need you in front of the judge.
You know what? I'd like to pick the witnesses. Get Ashton Kutcher on the stand next. I want to hear more about Ashton Kutcher.
Oh man!
And what really happened to Brittany Murphy? I'd like to hear more about that.
Well, it was pneumonia.
Oh, sure, it was pneumonia.
Right?
Her and her husband died of pneumonia. Very close to each other.
And Kim Porter, Diddy's ex-wife, or Diddy, the mother of his twins.
Right.
I don't know. Eek.
Yeah.
It's just a lot to process.
It
but
certainly
the information is there, and more will come, and we'll see what our thoughts are 8 weeks from now.
I don't know if Diddy's going to be convicted. I'm like 80% he will, but there's still a part of me that's worried he won't be.
Me too. I get nervous.
If that doesn't happen, if Diddy manages to walk free on this, I don't know how we rebound from that, Anna, because everybody knows, but it only comes down to what you can prove in court. Mm-hmm. And there's people who have been corrupted. There have been people who have been threatened. There's people who are scared to testify.
Of course.
And if all the stars align and Diddy gets off on this, I think it's the biggest travesty of justice since OJ.
And I just don't understand why he hasn't been charged with domestic abuse when the video is there. Like, that's an easy one. We got that on camera.
Yeah, I don't know either. And there's a lot of people are wondering, why isn't he charged with that?
Like,
why is it
don't get it.
trafficking and racketeering?
When we have proof, like physical proof, it's right there. I don't know. That one blows my mind.
Maybe they're getting ready for a second trial. Maybe they'll try that one in LA where the hotel was.
Okay.
Maybe.
Good. We'll
Maybe.
see.
Let's get to listener DMs on a Friday of a long weekend.
Okay, so the first one, actually, Scott, has to do with what we just talked about. It's from Amy, and she writes, "Hi, Scott, longtime listener of the radio shows and pod. Followed you from Z103 to The Beat to now 92.1. So the segment on the pod about the World Junior Hockey sexual assault trial shocked me. How is that sexual assault different than the Diddy and his assaults? You've always had such a balanced take, but this time I can't agree. I am a sexual assault survivor, so I admit I usually believe the complainant. Yeah.
Complainant.
Thank you.
Amy, thanks a lot.
Sorry,
and by the way,
been through that.
I should mention, because you mentioned that you followed me from Z1035 to The Beat to 92.1. This weekend, I'm going to be back on Z103.
Yeah, you are.
I'm going to be on Holiday Monday from 10 a.m. until 3 p.m.
cool.
Kind of a homecoming. I was there the other day, and I ran into Hammer and Danny D, and I saw Monaco and Sandra and Jimmy and Melanie, and it was great. It was real nice to come back. It's nice to go home.
It is.
And I'm really excited that I have to start at the bottom again. And if the bottom is midday on Holiday Monday, I'll do it because I love that radio station and I love that I get to be back on it. And I also love that you're going to be on it in a few weeks.
I know. And for me, having been somebody who listened to that station, this is actually a dream come true. Not to mention just working with Scott because I listened to him when he was on that station. Now I get to be on it too. It's wow. I can't believe it.
We're not leaving light. Don't worry about
No.
that. But it is the same company.
Yeah.
And we'll be doing some fill-in stuff on Z1035.
Mm-hmm.
Now back to Amy's question. Amy, I don't know what segment you heard that was shocking to you because we've done a lot of them. One thing I will say is I am really, really, really trying to be sensitive to the fact that there's people who have lived this reality.
Yeah.
And regardless of whether or not there's anything to EM's story or not, I'm aware that hearing about this is traumatizing and triggering for a lot of people. And I'm trying my level best to be sensitive and be down the middle on this one. Mm-hmm. I pivot back and forth, and it seems every day. When I heard the original round of text messages, I thought, these guys are guilty. Guilty. They almost got away with it. Mm-hmm. Now I'm at a point where I don't know that they're guilty. I don't know. I think they were definitely in a bad situation and they should have known better, but I don't know that anything criminal happened if she invited it. But I'm also trying to reconcile that with, she said she was having an out-of-body experience and just basically couldn't even control herself. And I'm sensitive to that too. I don't think the jury's got an easy job here at all. I don't know how they're going to rule. I know that about half the people are going to be upset one way or the other, but I do believe justice will be done. And in this case, it's still a moving target. I'm trying to be sensitive, but at the moment, I'm probably leaning towards it's going to be a full acquittal of these guys. And if it is, that scares the hell out of me because there's going to be so many women that are going to think, oh, these 5 guys got away with it. They gang raped this girl and got away with it. There's no way I should ever come forward and tell my story. And that would be the biggest tragedy in all of this is if they do get off on this, there's going to be people who think it's not worth telling my story. I saw them put EM on the stand for 7 days of grueling, gross, invasive testimony. I'm not going to go through with it. No matter what happened to me, I'm not going to put myself through it. And I think that is the biggest tragedy that could come out of this. We need to know. And God, I hope that justice gets done. I just don't think that in this particular case, anything criminal happened. Bad judgment for sure, but I don't know that anything criminal happened. You know what? That's all I'm going to say about it for now. This is going to be changing daily until the trial is over. And when it's over, I'm sure we'll all be able to look back. And if I'm wrong, I'll admit it completely. If new evidence comes out that says actually these guys are a total POS, I'll admit it fully. I'm not trying to take sides. I just want justice to be done. And I think we should all want justice to be done. But I also don't want any other victims to suffer.
Well said. And that's truly, at the end of the day, that's all we want. Next up, it has sort of to do, again, with EM in a different way.
Okay.
It's from Cole. I got a question about that sexual assault case, girl, EM. Now I've been following what you guys have said and in other news agencies. And at this point, when it's done, has anyone been a 20 or 18-year-old before? There are sex parties at our age. There are girls that op around men and love doing what she did. Regret is not rape, simple as that. She might regret what she did, but by the sounds of this, she was more than willing and happy doing what she did. So when it comes out that no one will be charged, I think she should be up. She should be up on charges for dragging these boys' men's names into the dirt. This stuff happens all the time in sports hotel rooms. It's the gold digging girls at this point. This is all it's sounding like. And she's already got a payout, but it wasn't enough for her cheating on her boyfriend with half a hockey team. I'm sorry, by the way you guys talk about this, we are adults. No, this happens. Just because it happens doesn't mean it's okay.
Well, no. I think I understand what this person is saying.
Fine.
People that age, maybe they do have sex parties. I've never been invited to one.
I haven't been either.
But yeah, I mean, there's people out there who do like to engage in these sort of things. I get that. Hotel rooms. Yeah. Pro athletes bang girls on the road all the time.
You know, there's puck bunnies or this or that. You know, we hear those names, those references.
Are some of those people legitimately in love with that basketball player, or are they hoping to get a payday? Well, I mean, that's between them and God. I don't know, and it's none of my business what happens between consenting adults. I do know that in this case, consent is an issue. And if there was no consent, then it is rape. If it was all consensual and then regret happened the next day, and there was an opportunity to get paid, then I think that is a different kind of charge. Should it be a criminal charge? Maybe, actually. I don't really know enough about it to comment, but I would say that I acknowledge that this definitely goes on. But right now, I think that the issue is consent. And I'm not aware of any charges against basketball, hockey, football, whatever players for stuff that goes on in their hotel rooms, because presumably it was all consensual and everybody liked what happened there.
Yeah.
In this case, they don't. And I think that that's the difference. I thought of one more thing for Amy in the previous DM. She asked, what's the difference between the P. Diddy and the World Junior Hockey player thing? I think the difference is that Diddy was a serial abuser. This happened over many years with multiple different victims. The World Junior Hockey thing is a one-off. There was a victim and there was 5 accused. Okay, I get that. 5 on 1. I get it. But it was a one-off. And I don't think anybody's accusing McLeod or Dubé or any of these other guys of being serial sex offenders. It seems like it was one night that went south and they're dealing with it. They'll have to figure out what happened here. But I don't know that it's the same plane as the Diddy stuff.
I get that.
Okay, next one.
Okay, moving on. This one's lighter, okay, but might fire you up.
Good, because I'm really, can I tell you, I feel like I'm walking on eggshells. I do.
Well, it's just because it's a tough case.
It's a tough case. I don't want to upset anybody.
No.
I'm really not trying to say guilty or innocent here.
No.
I'm not the judge. I'm not the jury. It doesn't affect me.
But you're a dad.
I'm a dad, and that's maybe, Anna, that's what it is.
You're a dad. I'm a woman. I get, like I don't believe everybody's a gold digging trying to get a payout either, and I want people to be able to speak their truth, but I don't want people to lie while speaking, a narrative that didn't happen. Yeah.
And because I don't know what's going to happen, but I know that this podcast is going to last forever. I don't want to say one way or the other now, because in hindsight, after the decision comes out, you could come back and listen to these episodes. And frankly, I just don't want to put that message out there. And like I said, I'll say it one more time. I think the biggest tragedy that could come out of this is if these 5 guys are acquitted. That would be good if they're not guilty. But I think it is going to discourage other victims from coming forward. And that's the tragedy.
And that is the tragedy. It is, because not everybody wants a payout. Let's just say that. Okay, moving on to Aussie. Scott, if you make the 407 free, the commute through it won't be 25 minutes. I, too, think the tunnel is a good investment, a costly investment, but it would most certainly help. Scott, what do you think? That's from Cole.
Okay, Cole, thank you for listening.
Not Cole. Sorry, that's Ozzy.
Ozzy, thank you. I'm not opposed to building a tunnel under the 401. I think that in 20 years, we'll be happy we did it because I think we're going to need it. And that's how long it'll take to be done. Buying back the 407, I've heard that a lot. I hear it from people that drive the 407 and they have no problem paying the money. That are like, don't you dare open it up because I've got a nice wide open highway all to myself right now and I don't want all you freeloaders driving on my highway. I'm paying for express service and I want express service. I don't accept that argument because it's taxpayer money that built it. I don't. And all taxpayers benefited from the sale of it. We paid off a lot of debt back in the 90s because we sold it. It's a public highway. It's for everybody. It shouldn't just be for those haves at the exclusion of the have-nots. Or the won't spends. I've got the money. I'm not going to spend it. I'm just not paying $60 to get to the airport from my house. I'm just not doing it. It's crazy. It's insanity. And there's another one for Doug Ford. Fix this. If you're not going to buy it back, you go in there and strong arm the shit out of them. And you tell them you're either lowering these rates or we're going to take the highway back and you can sue us. I don't care. You're going to lower these rates to normal, reasonable amounts. This 50 plus cents a kilometer, dollar on, dollar off, plus your transponder lease fee. It's bull. Get rid of this thing.
Okay, well,
maybe Doug shouldn't come in. Maybe I can't control myself.
Definitely come in because when you speak the truth, that's when it's hard to listen. But the thing is, it makes you uncomfortable.
People are listening to this and they're saying, yeah, Scott's right. He's right. And where is anybody from the Premier's office or the Ministry of Transportation or whatever? Why aren't they here to explain it to us? They won't. And I think that's what really bugs people is we're just told no. And that's the way it is. I don't accept that. Like these politicians work for us.
Yeah, well, you'd forget sometimes, right? They forget. Well, Christopher says, hey, Scott, just got finished with the pod. I'm a firm believer that we need the 413 traffic across Highway 9 from Orangeville. It's absolutely horrible. And 89 isn't much better. So both terrible. It's taken over an hour to get to Newmarket from Orangeville. It used to take 45 minutes. So the 413 would relieve traffic on a lot of these smaller highways, a lot more convenient for us who live north of the GTA to get east and west instead of having to head south to the 407 or 401. And yeah, there's a little bit of a bias because I work construction and build roads and highways, but the amount of people building the 413 and say this tunnel that would be working is astronomical, and the branch jobs that would come from it would be greatly beneficial, especially when construction in general right now is super, super slow in all fields. So that's where they see the benefits from it.
We're not building a lot. Hey, building the 413, great. But if it comes down to it, this is my thing. I'm sure it's great. I'm sure it would be helpful. Maybe it serves a purpose. I don't know how it would serve a purpose along Highway 9 between Orangeville and Newmarket. It's much further south than that. I don't think it's going to make a difference there. But for whatever reason, people want to take it. Fine. Build the 413. But we're not building the 413 at the expense of buying back the 407. This has to go in a logical order. We need the 407 back, or we need it to be low or no toll. If that happens, go ahead and build all the highways you want. We do need more. But the first piece of this puzzle is a right now solution, and the right now solution is to buy back the 407 or just screw them. Anna, I am so into this. The people who own it, I think Doug should walk in like the goddamn Kool-Aid man, kick down the door and say, we're taking back our highway, and if you don't like it, sue us. I think we should do that. Annex it. The way Trump wants to annex us, you annex the 407 and just tell them it's ours again. And if you don't like it, piss off. We'll see you in court. And if you don't like that, tough. Yep. It's the way it is. There's 16 million people here that want this done. So we're doing it.
Yeah, be the hero we're asking for. All right. Well, this next one is from Alex, and it's about, us talking about kids not being able to find jobs right now.
Okay.
So Alex writes, hey, Scott, listen to your podcast from today. I want to comment on your 16-year-old stepson not being able to find a job. It's not like that everywhere. We have a trailer up in Thornbury area, basically Collingwood, Meadford area. And up here, there's so many jobs that they're willing to hire 13 and 14-year-olds to do them because nobody wants to work. There's all kinds of jobs up in this area. So I guess it depends on where you are in Ontario for jobs.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't exactly call Thornbury a booming metropolis. I don't know how many jobs there are available there, but I do know that where the bulk of the people live, the bulk of the jobs aren't hiring. So great that there's opportunity in that part of Ontario. Good. It's not translating in the GTHKA.
Okay. Well, Jackie, she writes, "Oh, hey, Scott. In response to the pod, when you mentioned the dollar stores in the States changing the items and being dollar and more, etc., reminds me of the stores they used to have back in the day, like Bargain Herald and Byway. They were great discount stores back then." Gosh,
That's funny.
I remember Byway.
I asked this the other day because right now we have Walmart for cheap stuff and we've got the dollar store. Is there room for something in the middle that's more than $1, but it's not like the $10, $20, $30 that you might pay at Walmart? I forgot about Byway and Bargain Heralds.
Can I tell you one? And I love them. And it was my first job. Giant Tiger.
Giant Tiger's another great one. You still
great.
see those from time to time.
I love Giant Tiger. And they have great stuff at such a great price point. So, yeah, I'm there. But Byway was great. Buy my first CD player there. Never forget. It's true.
Love it.
And finally, this is our last message. And Jason writes, "Hey, I forgot to message you today to ask you this. So I will ask you here and hoped you will talk about it in your pod. The Leafs. I am with you. I am done with them also. You know how the Jets are the worst in the NFL? Well, the Leafs are the NHL version of the Jets.
Oh, ouch.
So my question is, because they charge so much for tickets, so insane I priced out to even see a game. But if I was one of those that paid the $5,000 for Wednesday night game and that beyond awful play for the Leafs, do you think at this point someone could launch a class action lawsuit against the Leafs for the prices they charge and the garbage quality you get with the ticket? At this point, it feels like the Leafs are just running a scam of the fans and taking as much money as possible, and the product is not good. Love to get your take on that. Thank you."
Yeah, I don't think you can sue sports teams that aren't playing well. I don't think you can. When it comes to the Leafs, I think they would also argue it's not us that's charging $5,000 for top of the lower bowl seats for a playoff game. It's people who bought tickets legitimately and then are reselling them. So it's not actually MLSE that's doing that. One thing I would say about the Leafs, though, I don't know what's going to happen tonight. Hopefully they win tonight. Hopefully they come out competitive on Sunday. I'd love for them to still move on to the third round. Edmonton is on to the third round in the West, and it's still possible for a Leafs-Oilers finale, which I would like to see.
I see that smile in your voice.
Also possible for a Leafs-Jets final. Jets won yesterday, too, so that's great. I don't know why we're all in on the Leafs anymore. I don't know. Here's the way I see the Leafs. They have tried each year making little tinkering changes, change a coach, bring in a new D guy, bring in a new whatever, and it's not working. Mm-hmm. Is there a curse? I don't know. That's way beyond my pay grade. So we have to deal with what we've actually got out there. The Leafs need to, in my estimation, commit to winning. And I don't think they've done that so far. I think you saw all the evidence you need Wednesday night when they came out and got shut out at home in Game 5. It was 5-1, right? They scored one goal?
Yeah,
I don't know.
It was bad.
Total nonsense. There's a reason that people were burning their Leafs jerseys, running them over with cars, and the arena was half empty in the third period.
And we're booing.
For a playoff hockey game in Toronto. It's embarrassing. The Leafs, no, we can't sue them, but y'all got to stop believing. You all just got to find a new team or just give up on the NHL. Toronto is still the NHL's biggest market. They know that, and they just take us for granted. They just take for granted that the Leafs are always going to have a diehard fan base, and even when they're sold out in the building, they'll have a packed Maple Leaf Square. Stop going and supporting this nonsense. The product is not good. Mitch Marner is going to get traded away after this season, and he's going to be one of the most hated athletes to leave Toronto ever.
Wow.
It's going to be like Vince Carter level.
Oh.
Mitch Marner's gone. John Tavares has got to go. We were doing okay for goalies this year. You know, goalies have plagued us in the playoffs in the past. This year, we got two good ones. Stolarz was the man, and if he ever got into trouble, Wall was right there to back him up. It was never the plan to have Wall as the starter. But, I mean, apparently you can just run somebody else's goalie if it's in the playoffs, and there's no consequence for that. Stolarz is missing this. Leafs had this locked up. Mm-hmm. You run our goalie, you change up the rhythm, you change up the routine, and that's what happens. I think we've all got to stop cheering for the Leafs. Stop buying the jerseys. Stop going to the games. Stop caring. These games on Amazon, very easy for them to track on Amazon how many people are watching. Those games in particular, don't stream them. Don't give into this shit, this nonsense. Honestly, they're not trying. They're not earning us as fans. And I'll admit if I'm wrong. If they actually go on and win the cup, I'll admit that I was overreacted and I was overly passionate, but that comes from years of dedication and being let down.
It's like it's the bad guy that you know you can't be with, but you're like, but I love him. That's what it feels like. You're crying, you're like, but I love him. I see the potential.
Anna, I'm out though. Like I can't even, I'm so serious that if they disappoint me in the second round again.
Yeah.
I'm out. I'm just not even going to be a hockey guy. And I'll take it a step further because I actually have a little bit of influence over this. I will not be talking about them on the radio. I will not be talking about them in the podcast. Like there just won't be Leaf scores.
Yeah, and you're going to get it from me because I'm not that, like I like them, but I'm not you.
That's very weird though for a radio station to not give out the scores from the Leafs, but I'm just not going to do anything to support them. Nothing. If they don't make it through this round, I'm out. No more hockey for me. I'm not switching to another team. I'm not going to do that. But I'm just done with hockey. You know what? The NFL is such a better product. Even the National Lacrosse League is a better product than the NHL. If you go to a pro lacrosse game, like a Toronto Rock game,
it's fun.
And you see what myself and Hammer up in the booth do to get the crowd fired up and DJ Sweet Lou playing music throughout the play, cheap drinks, free parking, that's a good night out. This gouging at Scotiabank Arena from the Leafs has got to end. And it will keep going until fans say no more. People have got to commit to, if they let you down this year or if they let you down last year, you got to say goodbye. Get out of this toxic relationship that we've got with that hockey team. No more. I love the core four. I love Mitch Marner. He's one of my favorites. Love Austin Matthews. I love John Tavares. I love William Nylander. I love most of this team. But I can't support it anymore if they don't at least make a little bit of progress this year and get to the third round. Yeah. I'm not even asking for a cup. Just get past the second round to show that it can be done. Because if they can't do it with this lineup of players, any other team that's got Austin Matthews, John Tavares, William Nylander, Mitch Marner, all on the same power play and doesn't score, the heads are going to roll. But in Toronto, it's totally fine. Austin Matthews makes $116,000 a game. $116K.
That's pretty nice.
He hasn't scored in this series. It's nonsense. Yeah. Complete nonsense.
Find the back of the net.
And it shouldn't always fall on one player. I get that.
But
nobody is stepping up when Matthews is slumping. You know, when Nylander goes through a slump, it's not like you see the rest of the team step up and say, it's okay, Willie, we got you. We'll bury some goals. It's very frustrating.
And it is, and I do feel for, Wall as well, being the one who has to step in, but you can't do much. I feel bad because
he's just not a very good goalie.
Well, also, but you need the defense to support you as well.
I don't buy that. No, Wall is a professional NHL caliber goalie who is just plain not as good as Stolarz.
Well, yeah,
that's all there is to it. And you know
what? You need
the
support too.
The fact that he walked in there even thinking he might be a starter, I guess he hasn't watched enough tape or watched any games because Stolarz is clearly the better goalie. The fact that Florida ran our goalie and got away with it.
Yeah, and then that player, Bennett, has gone on to score on us all those goals too.
It's craziness. And I think the Leafs had a good plan. Stolarz is one. Wall is a great number two. But Wall is not a number one. He's proven in this series he's not a number one. He's had some real great games. He's made some incredible saves, but he cannot carry you through a series against a real good team like Florida. Full stop. I know. Every time I talk about sports, let me tell you what's going to happen. There's going to be some Leaf fans out there that are going to DM me and they're going to call me every name in the book. F you and blah, blah, blah. And leave the sports to the guys on sports radio.
But they're the same ones that when they lose, that they're losing their minds.
Most of those on sports radio don't know what they're doing either. In fact, they're just you listen to them because they're on the radio and they've got the bully pulpit and they're put on a pedestal, but they're not any smarter than you. They're not any smarter than me. They're not any smarter than Anna.
Yeah, and I don't even know what's going on. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. I love the Leafs, but I'm tired of being disappointed as well.
I think all of our Canadian listeners know this, but for the Americans, it is a long weekend here in Canada. Monday, we celebrate Victoria Day, so no pod on Monday. There will be a new episode on Tuesday. Have yourselves a great weekend, everybody.
Bye.